Thank you for joining us. This is Stefan, Bitcoin K. So tell us who you are and what you guys are doing.
Okay, so Leonardo Gammar, the CEO of Agora. It's a digital voting platform on our blockchain.
So tell me exactly how that is working in Africa. Like, have you been running some pilots, and how's the reception?
So we've been running a pilot in Sierra Leone. What we want to do is that we want to move step by step our voting system to a more efficient voting system, a more transparent. We can go completely paperless. We can keep on asking people go to polling centers. It depends on the use case. In the case of Sierra Leone, just register the vote on the blockchain. People can go vote on iPads, on the computers in the polling centers, or they can vote from their place with their phone. So it depends. Or they can also vote if they are already using voting machines. We can keep the voting machines as a front end and move the back end on the blockchain.
Okay. So what are the challenges you guys are experiencing in Sierra Leone? And what do you think will be the challenges going forward in trying to implement digital voting in Africa? So
first, before the challenges, I would say the good points is that even in Sierra Leone, everyone has phones, especially in Freetown in the capital city. Now in remote areas, when they count the votes, they bring electricity. They do the tallying by night, and they have electricity. They also bring internet dongles, so this is absolutely sufficient for us to encrypt the votes, decrypt the votes, and to send the votes on the blockchain. The challenges, I would say, in the case of Sierra Leone, 50 to 60% of people don't read. So we had to think our app in a way where it's very organic and user-friendly. In Sierra Leone, they vote with their fingerprints, so you just put your finger on the photo of your favorite candidate. This is the first challenge. The second challenge was the language. If 50 to 60% people don't read, they don't necessarily speak English, so you have to also to adapt your app. In the case where you are blind, you have to make your phone speaking to you, and you have to make your phone speak to you in your mother's tongue. So if it's not English, it has to be. So these are the main challenges that we had in the case of Sierra Leone. But the good news is that internet is not a problem. Electricity is not a problem. Even in the most remote areas, you can find a way to find some internet. You can vote offline, and you just need at some point during the event some internet, so your vote goes on the blockchain, but you can do it offline before. Also, you don't need a phone per voter. You can identify many voters on one phone. You just need one key, so you do the biometric identification on a phone, and then when you're done with voting, someone else can vote on the same phone. So you don't need one phone per person. You can have one phone per village, and that phone doesn't necessarily need to be online the whole time. You can vote, and then you can you have a day to find a little bit of internet. If there is no phone at all, then you can move to the polling centers, because the thing is that if we can make you vote, if we can make the election 70% cheaper, it's an investment for government to equip their polling centers with some pads or some computers. It's still going to be much less expensive than paper ballots. Because you don't have to pay officials on Sundays, you don't have to pay, you don't have to transport the boxes, transport the ballots. As I said, also there is that less security costs. The thing is that when you have to ensure the security of your citizens, sometimes you have to equip the army, equip the police, empty hospitals, bringing doctors, extra nurses. This is super expensive. And sometimes when you don't have money to do it, you have to borrow money to do it. So sometimes you lose part of your sovereignty borrowing money from foreign actors ensure the security of your elections. So if we can make elections 70% cheaper, having a couple of computers in the polling centers is fine. But you can also go to public internet places where you can vote. So honestly, these were not the challenges. I mean, these are the challenges that people expect, but were not the challenges that we had. As I told you, the challenges was more related to the culture and yeah.
So, are you going to expand to East Africa?
Of course.
Specifically Kenya. Well, I guess you guys will start with Uganda because it's more receptive. How will you deal with the political culture that's very prevalent in Muslim African societies? They want presidents for life, so how will you cope with that?
I don't think this is a model that can lease for, I don't know, 20 more years, honestly. President for life. I think it makes less and less sense. The thing is that depending on the countries, they don't need the same things. As I said, for example, in Switzerland, the main problem is costs, logistic costs, and incentivizing people going to the polling centers because Swiss people don't vote that much. But in the case of Africa, maybe saving lives is fair enough for president to have these type of systems. They can save costs and save life also. They can also not only save money, but they can also have more money, because when you can show to the international community that you are actively fighting corruption in your country, you gain the aura in the international community, and then you gain also the trust of foreign investors. So you have so much to win, and at the end not that much to lose. You just make your system much more efficient. We provide the code for the government, so they can have it in their hand. They can stress test the code. They can be sure that we're not changing the results. So I really think it's much more pros than cons, and I really think that these cons are not cons that are going to stay here for 20 more years. Also, with the pressure of the neighbors, if this system becomes a standard, it's very complicated not to adopt it. And also, if the former president did it, it's very complicated to go backwards and say I don't want it anymore. So when the ruling party is not necessarily very keen of having this type of conversations, maybe before an election the opposite party will be very happy to present the system in its so there are many ways to get to the adoption point. And honestly, there are much less I would say objections than most of the people would think. Yeah.